Hi folks, this is Vicki at patternprincess.com. Today I wanted to show you how to work this Lacy shell crochet blanket. I've actually done this in two colors. This one here I did in pink and white, and I've used Caron Simply Soft for the pink and white. I should look here to tell you how much. I used about 2.5 skeins of the white. It's about 800 yards, and then for the pink, it's just the soft pink, Caron Simply Soft, just a little bit short of 2 skeins of this. And then I also did one in yellow and white. I loved it so much. I really did. I just loved it so much. I did, and I wanted the bright color here. I did another one in the yellow and white, and the white was same amount of yarn with the white one, and then the yellow. It's in soft and shiny, and I did, it's just called yellow, and it's in the soft and shiny, I don't know how to say it, it's DOUX, and then it's ET Brilliant yarn, so maybe, I don't know what that stands for, but that's what it is. I'll have the details on my website for you, also along with all of the full written patterns, and so it's on patternprincess.com. I will also have the link in the comments to take you right to it so you can find it easily. So there is something special about this blanket. It starts off with the no chain double crochet. This actually has a single crochet border and then a double crochet border added onto it at the end. But I struggled. I worked on this and worked on this. It's been a long time coming on this particular pattern because I started off with a chain stitch, and then I thought I'll work in the back loops to try and not have so much pull and bigger gap. When we started off this blanket, I wanted this first row to look just as pretty as the last row. See how pretty that last row is with the border on it? And so I had to figure out what to do, and of course in here in the very last row, I have to even it out so you can put a nice border on there because we have the shell stitch, right? We ended with a shell stitch. So I starting off with a no chain double crochet. It's really like having a chain stitch and a double crochet all in one. And then I started right away with a shell stitch instead of the row that kind of sets up a shell stitch. I started right away with a shell stitch row. So hopefully you will enjoy this pattern as much as I do. I have, like I said, I have made 2 blankets, just love them. They would be pretty as baby blankets, all kinds of things. But I really do. I don't know. I don't know which one I like more. And then I thought, I almost did one in gray and white or green and white. I don't know, kind of partial, I think, to the maybe white in between. But I would love to see what other people do. I always love to see your projects. I did make a little swatch here for you ahead of time, so you can kind of see, maybe it's a little bit easier sometime to see a swatch, to see how the whole thing comes together. But I'm going to start here with a no chain double crochet, and this is worked in multiples of 4 plus 1. I'm using a size H hook. My blanket ended up to be 42 inches wide by 39 inches long, so it's not a huge blanket. Be a pretty lap afghan, could be a pretty baby blanket. You could make it even bigger and put it, make it as big for a bed, or somebody, like if you did one for my son-in-law, you'd have to make one over 6'2", so you get these tall folks, so you got to make them longer because they want them from head to toe. So I'm getting my slip knot on my hook, bringing my loop through. All right, I do have a separate video on doing the no chain double crochet if you just wanted to see that, but it's also, I'm going to show you here because this is how I started off here. And I actually typed out this pattern because I have, you don't want to know. So my scant notes here, this is this is me in writing up a pattern. You see the scribbles, you see the mess. So if I tried to read through that, and then this is a good thing too, when I type it up ahead of time and I read through it, I can tell if I have mistakes, because I really don't want to have mistakes for you folks. I want to make sure that you can have success the first time around. And so hopefully this will help eliminate any mistakes. This is the way that I've been doing it. So we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over. Then we're going to go into that first chain, and I actually like to kind of go through those first 2 loops there. I don't think it really matters. We're just going to go through the first chain, yarn over, and then bring it through 1 loop. That's kind of like making a single crochet or a chain stitch. Yarn over, come through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. So that it's kind of like, now I have like what counts as 2. It's a 2 no chain double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over. So in these bottom, make sure you can see this here, in these bottom 2 loops here that we just did, There we go. Those bottom 2 loops, I put my hook through it, yarn over. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, come through the first loop, yarn over, through the second, yarn over, go through the third. Yarn over, and we're going to go through the 2 loops. I kind of actually find if I turn my work like that, that it helps me find the loops, and bring it through, go through 1 loop, 2 loops, 3 loops. And this can be kind of loose, it doesn't have to be tight. In fact, I probably recommend not being real tight, but just, you know, normal stitches. So again, we go through the bottom 2 loops, and we're going to do, today I'm going to do 25 of these. On the blanket that I did 133. This pattern is divisible by 4, and then you add 1. That's what multiples of 4 means. So you can change the sizes, you can change the rows any way you want. I would recommend wherever you end your blanket that you end it on a row 3 pattern, because that way it's really easy to even out the end and do your single crochet and double crochet and treble crochet stitches in between, because that really makes for a nice end border, because you saw how that end border looked. So as you can see here, I'm going to count in just a second here. I know I don't have 25, but I'm going to show you how this straightens out, because you're probably thinking, gosh, it's not straight. Yeah, it is. There you go. See, and this first one, I don't know, maybe there's a different way to do it, but my first one is always a little bit wonky. It's always a little bit looser, but it seems to be very forgiving, because whenever I add my border on my pattern, I can't really tell. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to do 15 more of these, and I'm going to meet you right back here, okay? Okay, I have my 25 no chain double crochet. That looks really nice, doesn't it? This is both sides, so I've turned it. All right, now I'm going to chain 1 and then single crochet in that same stitch. Then I'm going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3. In that 4th one from the hook, I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to do 8 double crochet in there. That's going to be a big shell stitch. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now we're going to count 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th one we're going to do a single crochet, because then that helps that fan stitch, that shell stitch, lay down nicely. You see that? And then again we're going to repeat this. So 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one we're going to do 8 double crochet. 1, my yarn is bungling up, go back through, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, count 4, 1, 2, 3, and that 4th one, single crochet. And then we're going to count again, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one, we're going to do the 8 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we have 4 left. So 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th one, it's the top part here, we're going to do 2 single crochet. 1, 2. So we have just completed our foundational row and our first row. So I'll bring the swatch okay? That's how that looks. We just done that part of it. Now, if you notice, well, it's hard to tell because I didn't do as much, but I started to carry the yarn up the side. So I'm going to, every other row, now we're going to join, we're going to use a different color. Every other row I changed color, but I carried my yarn up the side. I did not continue to snip it. I didn't want to weave in a bunch of ends and have a bunch of bulk on the side because I'm going to add a border on anyway. I have found a lot of success when you don't have a, like if I would have, you know, a gap like that in between, I wouldn't probably carry my yarn up the side. I don't know how I could figure out how to do that. But because it's not a wide gap, I'm carrying the yarn up the side, and it's really nice because I can just enclose it and I don't have much weaving at the ends. So I put my yarn through. I'm going to bring that white yarn down, make sure you have the right yarn, the one that for going to the skein, wrapped around your fingers. I've already done the other one. So I kind of hold these both here in my fingers. And especially because it's on the end, I like to do this because it's going to be enclosed anyway. So I kind of just I made that little chain stitch and I brought it up tight. And then you just snug up the white one a little bit. It will sometimes loosen up, but when you go ahead to sew in your ends, it's going to, you know, just make sure that you snug it up again before you sew in your ends, okay? So now we're actually moving on to row 2 with our pink or yellow or whatever color you have. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, and in that same space we're going to do a double crochet. Okay, and now we're going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're skipping everything. We're skipping everything, and we're going over to that single crochet right here. Okay, so skip everything. Going to yarn over, and we're going to do a V-stitch here, which is going to consist of a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. That's going to be the V-stitch here. On the ends, I did not use the chain 2 because I didn't want it to stick out too far on the ends. So I did on the ends it's just a 2 double crochet. All right. So here it's double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook. I have my yarn around my hook already. Here we go. Chain 2. You go right back through the hole and do another double crochet. And now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is kind of the setup row for your next row, which will be the shell. Skip over everything, go to that single crochet, and do your V-stitch. And then our double crochet, chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the very last stitch over in the single crochet, we're going to skip over all this. We're going to do 2 double crochet. So here's 1, 2, and it's the same on one side as it is on the other. Okay, so I'm going to grab some more yarn here. We have now completed row 2. So now in row 3, there's an option. So in one blanket, I did the pink one first. When I made this pattern, I did the pink one first. I'm going to use my hook to show you. I did 4 double crochet here. So this is my chain stitches here that's already enclosed in the border. Can you see that? So then I did 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet. This part here is the chain stitches that we just did. So, okay, so let me isolate that for you, right? So no matter, in my next one, well, I'll show you this first and I'll explain. And I hope it's not confusing. It's just an option you have. So in this one here, here's where I had the chain stitch, the initial chain stitch of the row we're going to do, okay? And then it's 1, 2, 3 double crochet. This is the chain stitches from the row that we just got done. So you have an option of doing it 3 double crochet here or 4. So the 3 double crochet I think looks a little bit more lacy. This is kind of, I'll hold it out in my hand for you to see. Okay, that's with 3. And then I gotta get this out again. Then this one here, I'll hold this out again here. This is the 4. See, it's a little bit more full. No matter which way you go, you're going to go in between that second and third. The second and third So we have the chain stitch here. There's 1, 2. So you go in between there. No matter which way you go, you'll go in between there and either have it a little bit more full looking or a little bit more open. I don't know. Either way is fine. I like them both. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, there you have that. If this wasn't confusing enough for you. Okay, so I'm going to turn it. And we're going to start that row. This swatch here, how many did I do in this swatch here? So I have my chain stitch and 1, 2, 3. So I did 3 on this one. This one here is that row that we just got done. So I did 3 on this one. So, all right. So now we're going to work that row. So it's chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, in between our 2 double crochets, you can either do 3 or 4 double crochet. All right, so I'll just do 3 today, right now. 1, 2, 3. All right, then the next step is to do a single crochet in between the 4th and the 5th double crochet from the fan stitch. Now, when we get further on, you're going to want to make sure you don't count the chain stitches. But here we just got the fan stitch in this first row. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So in between here, and I always counted when I was working, and make the single crochet a little bit loose. Make sure that you encapsulate that chain stitch from the previous row, okay? That captures that. But I always made sure I counted just in case, because I thought, you know, all of a sudden I'd look at a row and I'd find that off by 1, and you know that's what you're going to see every time you look at it, so I made sure I counted. So then in here, we're going to do a fan stitch. We're going to do our 8 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oop, oop, oop. There we go. Make sure I got it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Okay. So here we're going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. Do your single crochet. Okay. And then do our 8 double crochet in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, that single crochet right here. And then because I did my chain 3 in our 3 double crochet, I'm going to do 4 double crochet here in this last the 2 double crochets. If I had done the 4, then I would do 5 here. Okay, so you have the option of 4 or 5. So I'm going to do 4. So it'll match the other side. 3, 4 double crochet. All right. So we have that row complete. That's row 3. Now we got to switch back to our white. So for row 4, got to find my white. Here's my white yarn. Make sure I have the white here and not this one here. So now I'm going to bring that through my fingers. Bring it, I did a yarn over, I'm going to bring it through the loop. Now, because this is a little bit longer here, you don't want to scrunch it up real tight because you're going to scrunch up your end. You don't want to do that. So I'll bring my pink a little bit snug, and then I'm going to just make it so it's snug right there. And then I yarn over, and I just make this a little bit tight because it just holds that yarn a little bit better for me while I'm going to work this. Okay, so we're ready to move on to row 4. So we're going to chain 1 and single crochet. Now I want to tell you, if this loosens up, it's okay, because when you go to sew in your ends and crochet around it, like this one here might loosen up because we're just adding the yarn here. It's okay if it loosens up a little bit, because when you go to do your border, you're going to crochet around the edges, and you're not going to see any of this anyway, right? You're not going to see any of it. So No worries about if it loosens up just a smidge. All right. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure that you understood that piece of it. Okay, so we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're going to think, oh my gosh, lady, are you crazy? That's a lot. Yeah, it's okay. It'll work. Trust me, it'll work. Go in here into that previous row, single crochet, and do your V-stitch, which is your double crochet, chain 2, whoops. There we go. Chain 2 and double crochet right back in that same spot. Now it looks a little messy at this point. You're looking at this thing thinking, I am crazy nuts. I know you are. It's okay. See how messy that looks? And you're thinking, gosh, how is that going to make that? But let me show you. So this here, right here, this wonkiness, this I just pulled my stitch out. This wonkiness is going to turn into that, okay? Because we're right at this point. See, we're right there. It will look okay. Trust me, it's going to be good. But I think that kind of gives a nice little lacy look, and I gotta fix my stitch that pulled out on me. So this was a double crochet I lost. That's all right. Okay, we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to go all the way over here to that single crochet, and we're going to do the V-stitch. So we're going to do the double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go in here and do your double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. And then 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to do, in the top part here, you're going to do 2 single crochet. And then you are done with this row. And yes, it looks a little bit like we're crazy, but that's okay, it's going to work. Now we're moving into row 5. And row 5, when you do this, you're going to be repeating rows 2 through 5. It's going to be, row 2 was this one, the setup row here. Then you had 3, which was a shell. And then row 4, and then row 5 is going to be the next one. So these two here, we're just like getting things going. When you end your blanket, if you end on this 3rd row, it'll look really nice in that type of a stitch pattern. It's going to look really nice because you'll be able to do like your V-stitches. You'll be able to clean it up because you can do your V-stitches in between and flatten things out. So, and I'll show you kind of how to do that a little bit too. Okay, so row 4 is done. Now we're going to go to row 5, and after this then you'll be repeating row 2. So when this one here, we're going to chain 1, single crochet in that same spot. Okay, and then no matter which way you have, if you have how many double crochets you have down here, you're going to count 1, 2. Then you're going to do a single crochet, and make sure that you capture that previous row chain stitch. And again, this single crochet does not, I would recommend not having it extremely tight. Having it, you know, a little bit loose, a little bit, not bad. And then in here, you're going to do your shell stitch, your 8 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then again, we're going to go, remember we don't count this chain row here, but we got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. In between that 4th and 5th double crochet, do your single crochet. And then we got our 8 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoops, my yarn is catching here. 8. And then again in between, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go over here and we do our 8 double crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you can see how this pattern just continues to repeat this, the center of it, every other row. It's really, you're repeating the rows. The only thing that's different is the ends to get you started right, because you're putting the shell stitches every other one. So that's what makes these ends have to be a little bit different, okay? So now this was a chain stitch. So now again, we got to go between the 1, 2, the second and third double crochet, and we got to do a single crochet. Okay, and then we're going to, in the last stitch, put 2 single crochet. All right, so now we are ready to repeat row 2 again. And this down here is row 2. So then we would switch to our pink again. And this is a very short distance for the pink, so you don't have to worry about scrunching it up on the side. You see how nicely that lays on the side though? And this here, so like this here chain stitch is kind of, you can move this. You can kind of like ease it through back and forth. So like if it's scrunched out on one side a little bit too much or not too much the other, it all evens out as you're working through your blanket. So I'm going to change to the pink, so I'm bringing that through the white. Then I pull the white just a little bit snug, and I make that little snug stitch in here. So that's all ready to go. So now we got to go back to row 2. There we are. Okay, so we're down to this one here, right here. So we got to go 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and then we do it in the same stitch. We do a double crochet. Okay, and then we chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we go all the way over here, and then we work the V-stitch. Chain 2. So I'm going to continue this, and I'm going to do up to row 3 so that I can show you how I evened out the last row for the before I put the border on. But you see how we're switching it around? The row I'm doing now is this one, and then I'm going to do this row. But so it's a 4-row repeat, and it's rows 2, 3, 4, and 5. But every other row you change color, and I just continue moving up the blanket, and then I add the border on, and I thought it had really pretty results. So I'm going to meet you back here and show you how I straightened out that last end. Okay, ended on the it's a row 3 repeat here. So that if you end on this row to make this end, I should have had this out before you, to make this end nice like this one is, where you fill in between like this, that's the row that you want to end on. And so, and I'm doing this in white, this final row in white, because I did the first row here, the no chain double crochet in white, and I'm also doing the rest of the border in white. So you want to make the top and the bottom, at least I think, the same color. So in this row here, you're going to change back to the white. So I'm going to carry my yarn up the side here yet. And if you have, depending on how big your blanket is, you may have just a little scant amount of yarn left at this point. I think I just didn't have a whole lot, and I did this row, and then I had come back, and then I started to go down a side, and then I had to change my yarn into another skein. So, okay, so we're gonna put our hook through our loop, tighten that up, and I have my yarn here, all change color. This one's still hanging here. I could actually cut off this pink now, because for this, I'd actually be done with the pink. I wouldn't be using it again. Everything else I'd be doing would be the white, but for now I'll just leave it on, okay? And so what we do here is we're going to chain 1, then in the same stitch, do a single crochet. Then depending on if you did the 3 double crochet or the 4, you're going to, either in the next 2 or 3 stitches, pardon me, I put my hook around because I'm already thinking of the next step. You're going to do a single crochet, because and a single crochet in the next, because what you're going to do is every time that you get down by the single crochet that we did from the previous row, so this stitch here and this stitch here. So the double crochet on either side of that single crochet, you're going to do a double crochet and a treble crochet and a double crochet. Then the other stitches on here, you're going to do a single crochet. So depending, like I said, however many you did here, you're going to either do 2 single crochet or 3, depending on how many double crochets you did. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to do a double crochet here, because this will bring this up, and then yarn over twice for the treble crochet, go into my single crochet, pull through 2 loops, pull through 2 loops and 2 loops. That's your treble crochet. Yarn over, do a double crochet in the next, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a single crochet out of the rest of the fan stitch here. Just a single crochet. It's funny when you're doing the double crochet so much that when you have to do a single crochet, it's so hard for me not to wrap that yarn around first. Okay, so we're coming up to this. So this is a single crochet. These are the 2 stitches on the side, right? So this here still gets a single crochet. Now the next one gets a double crochet. And then yarn over twice, go into the single crochet. We're going to finish our treble crochet. Yarn over once, go into the next double crochet. Then again, we're going to do our single crochets across the top. This just makes it real nice to have the whole blanket look so symmetrical. And then one more. And then we're down to a double crochet. Yarn over twice, treble crochet. And I'll show you how this looks as soon as I get this done. And so we're almost there. Double crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and then 2 single crochet in the end one. Right there. So now we have our setup row. Now you're thinking, oh, it doesn't look too straight at this point. But you'd be surprised when we add on the next rows that it just kind of seems to, it's maybe a smidge bit not straight, but boy, it starts to get hard to see once you start adding on your next, okay? So now what I did with my rows is I just did a single crochet. Now see, I should have probably cut this off because now it's getting in my way. So now we do a single crochet all the way across, and then on the sides, you do a single crochet. Like here, you do probably 2. Here, I'd probably do 2. I'd put 1 in there, 1 in here, 1 in here, 2 in there, 2 in there. You just kind of ease it over the edge. Each corner right here, this corner stitch right here, I would do 3 single crochet. And then the next row you're going to do is double crochet. So I'll get you started here. So right here, I'm just going to chain 1 just to kind of so we can go back in. I'm going to do 3 single crochet right here. I'm just going to start right where I am. I could join yarn and start anywhere. Doesn't matter where you start this. If you start with a new skein here, however you want to do it. But now you're just going to do a single crochet back through everything. Or I could have continued up the side, I guess, and then ended with this single crochet too. Either way, however you want to do it is fine. But then, like I said, once you get through the whole thing with your single crochets, then you do a double crochet in every single stitch with a 3 double crochet in the corner. So it's 3 single crochet in the corners and 3 double crochet in the corners, because that will help your corners lay nice and flat. And we'll get over there in a second here, and then I'll kind of show you how I would work up the side. But once we get the main part, the hardest part was doing the blanket itself. But even once I add, like I said, on this single crochet row, it starts to really straighten up even more. It's amazing how it works. And we're almost there. And then what I'm going to do is 3 single crochet in the corner. 1 here. And then if I can get my hook in there, there we go. 1, 2, 3. See, then I would just start up the side. So I'll do 1 here. And then one here, and I'm gonna have to make sure that you go around any yarn. This is your side that I had my yarn I was carrying up, and I'm gonna pretend that I've carried this one up the side, even though I should have cut it off. And I'll just go in here, just a single crochet, 2, we'll put 1 here, and you just go, you know, you just go in your little spots and kind of ease it around. And it's amazing, it just cleans up the side so nicely, and nobody will know, nobody's gonna be the wiser that you carried this up the side. I'll do 2 here. I can stick 1 here. So you can start to see, now it's all crunched up, but you can start to see how this is going to look. See, you cannot tell that I had carried any yarn up the side. The corners are starting to look nice. This one's sticking out, but I'm going to come and join this with a slip stitch at the end, and then I'm going to chain 3, and then in the corner stitch here, I would do a double crochet in each one around, but each corner stitch I would do 3 double crochet. And then you'll have a blanket that on the tops and sides looks like, here's your corners, and there's your top, okay? And then here's where here's the side I would have carried up my yarn. And again, you cannot tell. The corners look nice. Everything looks symmetrical, and that's the top. And then here's the bottom. There's the bottom. Doesn't it look really beautiful? So anyways, here I will have the whole written pattern on my site. I hope that you are encouraged to make a blanket like this, or a shawl, or I'd love to see what y'all make out of it, or even a pillow. It's just such a beautiful stitch. But thank you so much for watching. I know this was a little bit of a long tutorial, but please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I guess you got to click the bell if you want to be notified of any new videos that I post. Otherwise, there is also a newsletter sign up on my website, and I always make sure I share my newest crochet patterns, and I really try not to overload folks with newsletters either. Maybe twice a month or once. That way you can get updated on what's going on, but you're not overwhelmed in the email box, because we all know we'd rather be crocheting. So thank you and have a wonderful day.